There's something happening in our culture right now that I feel we don't talk about enough. And in fact, we'd probably rather just ignore it, or maybe we've just become so desensitized to it. And while I'm not trying to circle the wagon from our previous episode, Battle of the Sexes, this isn't a continuation of that conversation. This is a different doorway into the same house. But we're stepping into another room entirely. Because this isn't about men versus women. This is about all of us and how we treat each other, how we move, and how something has fundamentally shifted. Today, we're talking about the disrespect. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of That's It, That's All. I'm your host and transformational coach, Coach G. My goal, every time we spend these moments together, that is, I hope that it gets you to thinking, and I hope to stretch your perspective and to be able to look at familiar topics through different lenses. And hopefully the lens that we will open will shift something in you, or at the very least, give you pause. You can feel it in the way we speak to each other, the way we move through the world, the way we show up or not. And it's pretty subtle, but it's everywhere. And the word for it is disrespect. It's that everyday kind of slips into the tones in which we talk to each other. It can be seen in our impatience, when we don't get what we want as quickly as we want it, how we bark out dissatisfaction at people, our assumptions because we won't take the time to ask questions, or we just go mute because we are afraid to use our voices for whatever reasons, right? And that silence, that keeps the divide alive. And it becomes so normal we barely notice it. We chalk it up as this just another day navigating the chaos in the world. But we're living in a time where it seems like disrespect has become a lot of people's default. Now, a lot of people may not want to hear this because it just might act as a mirror. And who wants the mirror to be honest in this regard? We all want to feel like we're good people. And I think for the most part we are. But the world and things that's happening in it has become so loud that reasoning is being drowned out. You can see this in the way we interrupt instead of really listening to understand, the way we scroll past someone else's pain because we are tired, the way we dismiss someone else's perspective before we even hear or try to understand where they're coming from, and the way we treat people like they're replaceable. Another way is the way we assume the worst of each other without ever asking one single question. And the thing is, we didn't get here by accident. This didn't just happen because one generation suddenly forgot how to be kind. It has been happening slowly over the years. And I'm sure that many of you have seen this. I know I have. It's been happening through 1,000 tiny ways in how we talk to one another and how we cope with things. And somewhere along this journey, we become less serious, and curiosity has become more of a weapon than just simply being curious. We don't want to show patience anymore. We want convenience. And so when that server that's behind that counter doesn't give us our food fast enough, or that customer service representative doesn't meet our demands quick enough, instead of remaining professional because we don't know what's going on the other side of that phone or on the other side of that counter, we give them an earful of nothing but disrespect. I remember when I worked for one of the largest banks in the world, and they would often have an influx of calls in the call center. And so they created this team of people that would they would pull them from the various departments to help the call center. I was one of those people that they tagged to be on this team that they call the swap team. I remember assisting a woman who needed help on her account, and one of the things we were taught was to be courteous. And so how we showed that courtesy was when people were on the phone with us, and the customer, of course, like I said before, they can't see us on the other side, so they don't know what's going on. We didn't just want all this dead air between us and the customer. So the company in our training advised us to make sure that the customer on the other side of that phone knew that we were listening. And so the way we did that was when the customer was talking, we would say yes, when appropriate, of course, or okay. And that was basically, like I said, just to acknowledge that we were there and we were listening, right? And as I did this, all of a sudden, the woman on the other end of the phone began to yell, and she said I was interrupting her. Of course, I was confused. And so my response to her was, ma'am, I'm just acknowledging to you that I am here and I'm listening to you. And she went on to tell me that it was improper and that she was a school teacher and all the things of education, I guess you can say. So I stopped saying anything and I just listened to her talk. I didn't say a word, I just listened. All of a sudden, she asked if I was there. I was like, yes, I am here and I'm listening. It was as if she just wanted to be mean and condescending. It's like, okay, either you want me to be courteous and acknowledge to you that I am here and that I am listening, or you don't want me to say anything. You want me to be rude. It was just one of the most bizarre things to me. And this is the thing, disrespect it can sometimes slip into, uh, cause us to slip into a bad habit we never really meant to pick up. And it's easy to do that because people are so disrespectful, when you're trying to be respectful, they keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they hit the button that causes you to flip the script. And now it's this back and forth, right? And so people have I think people have become emotionally exhausted. People are tired, and they're tired of being misunderstood. They're tired of carrying burdens nobody sees. They're tired of pretending they're okay. And when people are tired, they get sharp. They get short. They get defensive. They lose the capacity to uh, extend grace because they barely have enough for themselves. So disrespect becomes recycled. And now no one's respecting the other. But there's also a deeper layer. Many of us grew up in environments where respect was conditional. It had strings attached. The emotions were brushed aside, and allowing yourself to be kind and loving and understanding was no longer safe. So you learn to be guarded. And when you grow up in a world that doesn't honor you or your humanity, you learn not to honor anyone else. You learn to expect disappointments. You learn to assume bad intentions. You learn to lead with suspicion instead of being open. And you learn to protect yourself even when nobody's attacking you. And then there is good old society, the loudest teacher of all. We live in a culture that rewards disrespect. Yep, it rewards disrespect. It gets clicks, it gets laughs, it gets attention, it gets likes. And the more outrageous, the more disrespectful, the more viral it becomes. And we become desensitized and we don't even know it. It's like humiliating someone just for entertainment. It gets attention. And so cruelty has been turned into this content because that equals currency. Cruelty is being rewarded with currency, with money. And then we wonder why people don't know how to talk to each other anymore. And truth be told, they don't want to talk to you with respect anymore. And for those of us from ethnic communities, the Black, Brown, Caribbean, the African Americans, the Latinos, this is where it should hit, I believe, even deeper. We carry layers of history, of survival, and generational trauma. And many of us were raised in households where respect was demanded. It wasn't modeled, but it was demanded. We were raised in households where discipline sometimes overshadowed being kind and where being silent meant strength. But what happened? What happened was we inherited patterns that made sense perhaps in our grandparents' world. But what made sense in their world is now choking us in ours. And underneath all of this, beneath all the exhaustion and the trauma in our varying cultures, there's insecurity. Insecurity that is the catalyst for so much of the disrespect that we're experiencing. And when you don't feel enough, you tear down others. When you don't feel seen, when you feel ignored, when you don't feel valued, you start devaluing other people. And when you don't trust yourself, when you don't think anyone else can trust you, you start distrusting yourself. You start distrusting others. Doesn't matter who they are. It can be someone on the job. It can be someone in your home. It could be a friend. It could be anybody. If you don't trust yourself, you don't think anyone else can be trusted. Disrespect becomes a way to avoid self-reflection, a way to avoid looking in the mirror because it will show you a version of you that you're not proud of. And here's the part we don't like to admit. Being disrespectful, no matter who you are, I don't care where you were born. I don't care if your family is rich, poor, in between. I don't care. Being disrespectful is a choice. It's not a personality trait. It's not just how you are. It's not a cultural norm that you're stuck with. You're not like that because your uncle was like that, or you're not like that because your grandmother or your great grandmother was like that. It's not genetic. It's not in your DNA. Being disrespectful is a choice, and choices can change. So we need to wake up to the fact that disrespect is costing us so much more than we realize. It's costing us connections, it's costing us community, it's costing us compassion, it's costing us the relationships we say we want. But if the truth be told, we aren't emotionally prepared to maintain. I was talking to my granddaughter a few weeks ago, and she said something that was negative, and it made me say to her, "Do you know you are a creator?" And she looked at me, and I said to her again, "Do you know you are a creator?" We're creators. When we use our words, we create. And so you have to be mindful of what you say because your words can create atmospheres. So, what needs to happen? We need to reset. We need to use our words to create the atmosphere we desire to exist in. We need not uh, just a cultural reset. We need a personal reset. We need to be willing to slow down, pause, take a deep breath before speaking or reacting. We need to ask questions instead of assuming. It's okay to give people the benefit of the doubt. To remember that we are all in this one big world and everyone is carrying something. Maybe they've just lost a job that kept them afloat. Maybe they've lost a parent or a child, or they're going through a divorce. Maybe they just broke up with their partner, or maybe they're battling a disease that the doctor has told them they only have so long to live. They're carrying something invisible, something they don't have the words for, but they feel it. And if you can be that one person that says something kind, that is respectful, that honors, that could be the thing that keeps that person from taking their lives. Respect isn't about agreeing with someone. It's not about liking a person. It's not even about proving their choices for their lives. It's about respecting and recognizing their humanity, their dignity. It's about respecting others' rights to exist without being torn down. If we desire to live in a world that feels safer, that feels more connected, that feels more human-centered, then we have to start with ourselves. We have to ask, where have I become hardened? What part of me? When did I become impatient? When did I stop being willing to listen, to understand, to try to get their point of view instead of sitting and listening and anxiously waiting for my chance to respond? And many times that's negative. because we haven't taken out the time to really listen to what they have to say. You have to ask yourself, when did you allow disrespect to become your default? Listen, the world doesn't change because we complain about it. It changes because we interrupt our own patterns. It changes because we decide, we choose differently. Because we decide that for us, we're going to take accountability, and we're no longer going to be okay with being disrespectful, whether that's in our homes, in our churches, in our conversations, on our jobs, or in the grocery stores, whether it's the parking lot or the highway. We're going to decide that being disrespectful to others is no longer acceptable, and we will refuse to be one of the ones to participate. The disrespect has gone on long enough, and it's time to challenge that disrespect. It's time to outgrow it and to build something better. One interaction on top of another, one moment of grace, and one act of humility at a time. It all starts with you. Can we do it? Hey everybody, this is your girl Coach G again, and when I tell you this was intense, this was intense. I hope that you gleaned something valuable, some valuable insights during this episode, and if you did, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost a thing. And also, please leave a comment. I really do read them because your voice and your input is important to me. And until next time, that's it. That's all.